Hey guys, one of the scariest things that can happen to you is a panic attack with levels of anxiety that are so high that it feels like it's the end of the world. So if this happens to you or is even happening right now, know that you are safe. Although it clearly doesn't feel like it in the moment when anxiety is really high. There's a part of your brain that's called the amygdala that is responsible for sending out the feeling of fear, alerting you about some real or imagined danger. Anxiety sucks, I know it does, but there is something positive about this. You clicked on this video about anxiety, so you're at least partially aware that it is anxiety that you are feeling. And the awareness that it is anxiety is a crucial aspect in overcoming it. And just to give you some background on me, I have had anxiety the majority of my life since I was like 6 or 7. Anytime I tried to sleep over at a friend's house, I would be so anxious about not sleeping in my own bed that I would literally throw up. Yeah, that bad. So you are not alone, my friend. Millions of people have this condition and you too will be okay. And the cool thing, you can see some great relief from anxiety if you consistently follow the things that I'm about to talk about. So let's break down what typically is happening in your brain and body when you begin to feel anxiety. Because when we know what's actually going on, it takes the scary unknown mystery out of it. Most people, including myself back in the day, all we know when we have anxiety or panic attacks is that the feeling sucks and we just wish it would go away. But if we break it down step by step, we kind of know what to expect and how anxiety can develop or even get stronger. And oftentimes anxiety has to do with a fear of the future. So shining light on these unknowns of anxiety will make you feel more in control since you know what's going on. And you may not be able to stop it right away, but in time, with this new understanding, it will definitely get better. All right, so let's go. Anxiety or panic attacks usually start by either a worrisome thought, a situation, an emotion, or a sensation that you feel in your body. And since there is a lot to unwrap here in what I just said, this video will be on anxiety attacks that start based on fearful thoughts. So let's imagine a scenario that is quite common in the anxiety world, where someone has anxiety simply because they are worrying if they are going to get anxious or have a panic attack. Super common. So with this example, it would start with a thought like, oh no, what if I have anxiety today? That would suck and ruin everything. Oh, what if I always have anxiety? And right there is a great opportunity to check that thought at the door. We forget that we can choose which thoughts we want to engage with and which thoughts we want to ignore. So right then, when a thought like that arises, note to yourself in your head, fearful thought, anxious thought. And remember, we are not our thoughts. We are simply the listeners of them. So noting or labeling thoughts that come up creates a separation from you, the observer, and the thoughts themselves. Okay, so the next thing that typically happens if we don't note our anxious thoughts and we choose to engage with them is that we literally feel the emotion of fear and anxiety. Because emotions are the brain and body's response to thoughts or external situations in our environment. Let me repeat that because it is very important. Emotion is the brain and body's response or reaction to either thought or something going on in our physical world. The key takeaway here is that the body does not know the difference between a fearful thought and an actual threat in our environment. And when you have an anxious thought and let it go unchecked, to your body, it might as well be a freaking bear in the room. It doesn't know the difference between an actual threat, like a bear, or an imagined one, like a thought. In both situations, the body thinks, oh shoot, the brain is having fearful thoughts, we must be in danger. So what does the body do? It goes into survival mode. Rapid breathing, increased heart rate, release of cortisol, and a stronger feeling of fear in the body to make you more alert to help you get out of that dangerous situation. But in most cases, there's not a dangerous situation in the physical world. It's up here in the mind. So how can you overcome something that doesn't actually exist in the physical world? The answer? By no longer feeding it your attention. In this moment, starting now. Because how can you expect your body to know to calm down if we do not fully believe that the thoughts in our mind are just that, just thoughts? I promise you do not have to pay attention to every thought you have, even believe it to be true for that matter. So we must change our relationship to our own thoughts and to look at them differently. Think about listening to your thoughts as if you were listening to a child talking to you. You're listening, but you don't have to take everything they say to be all that serious, or what they're saying is even the truth. And the way that I was able to finally view my thoughts in this way, and a lot of people in the mental health space that are able to do this, is through the practice of meditation. Meditation will help you save you from your own mind, trust me. Please see this video to understand how to meditate and the skills involved. But for this video, know that thoughts are not you or who you are. They are definitely not all true, and you don't need to give them all your attention all the time. All right, so let's review how anxiety starts from a thought. Okay, so we have a fearful thought, we entertain it, and we believe it to be true, which then triggers an emotional response in the body. And we said that the body does not know the difference between an actual threat and the thoughts we have. All right, so you with me so far? All right, let's keep going. So once the body responds to our anxious thought and we start to feel lightheaded, nauseous, shortness of breath, feelings of fear, these emotions and sensations we now feel validates that initial anxious or fearful thought we had. So we now think to ourselves, oh man, that thought I had must have been true. I really must be in trouble. Oh my God, this is not good. So the mind now feels justified to have had that initial fearful thought because of the way the body responded to it. So now the mind is really starting to believe it is actually in danger. So you have more anxious thoughts. So you can guess what happens next after anxious thoughts. The body responds even harder with more anxious bodily symptoms. The body's thinking, oh, boss upstairs is really bugging out now. There must be something bad going on. And then you feel the strong sensations in the body, and then the mind turns up the anxious dial a little more. And do you see the cycle? Do you see this spiral down into a panic attack or into anxiety? So we learned that we don't need to always engage with our thoughts to try and calm the mind down, but how can we calm the body down from fearful emotions and bodily symptoms? Well, the same principle for thoughts applies here. The best thing to do is to not react to bodily sensations with more thinking. Because remember, we have already established that emotions are the body's response to thoughts we have. So no longer feeding these fearful emotions with more thought is the thing to do. We must do our best to stay non-reactive and focus on deep breaths instead. The emotions in the body will die out on their own. So we must simply observe them, observe these emotions without mentally reacting to them. They will go away on their own once we quit feeding them fearful thoughts as fuel. And guys, please, please, please forgive yourself for not knowing all the things that I'm telling you right now. It is very hard to recognize this stuff in the heated moment of anxiety. It happens so fast, so quickly, and your analytical brain kind of goes on vacation for a bit when strong emotions are at play. And that's because the feeling of anxiety originates in a very primitive portion of the brain, known as the amygdala. I said that at the beginning, while rational and logical thinking is centered in the much more recently developed area of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. The amygdala can easily overpower the prefrontal cortex, which is why it's so hard to think rationally when you have anxiety. So instead of beating yourself up right now, let's take a moment to find some gratitude that you are learning what is going on when you have anxiety. That's awesome. Because with this new knowledge, it doesn't necessarily mean you'll be able to stop anxiety right away, no. But at least we know and have an idea of the steps our brain and body take to get to the point of hardcore anxiety or panic attacks. So the next time you have anxiety, you kind of know what to expect. You can say, I did just have a fearful thought. Oh, I just felt a bodily sensation after that fearful thought as a response. And then you say, I'm going to do my best to not react with more fearful thoughts after feeling the bodily sensation. And in this way, you are now witnessing the steps that were previously unknown to you. And now you are conscious of them. You are now aware of them. You are being present within the anxiety. And when you do this, you get a little more control back. And guys, if this video is relieving your anxiety right now, remember the external environment wasn't ever the danger. There is and never was a bear. Instead, it was our mindset, our perspective, and our reaction to our own thoughts that changed. Nothing in your environment. It was all up here all along. This just goes to show you that your mind and body really react to how you, the conscious awareness, the observer, reacts to your thoughts. So that is why that meditation is such a fantastic tool, because it strengthens the belief and the knowing that you are the observer of thoughts and you don't have to go chasing each one that you have. So meditation really is a powerful, powerful tool for those that have anxiety. So thanks guys for watching, and I hope you learned about the steps your brain and body takes during anxiety so that it lessens the fear of what happens during those moments. And in time, the more you start to notice the different things that are happening during anxiety, it will lessen the anxiety feeling overall. So thanks again guys. See you next time.